Zone. Scott Theisen and no Drew DeArmond once again on a Tuesday. I'll say this, Drew. I've talked to Drew over the past couple days, and Drew is doing very good. He's just enjoying some time away here. He will be back with us hopefully by the end of the week. I don't know. He says by the end of the week, Chad. I'm just thinking we just take Friday off.
Yeah.
I mean, why not?
Just enjoy himself.
I mean, us.
Oh yeah, without a doubt.
I mean, he's saying I can be back by the end of the week. I'm saying, me and you, we just take Friday off.
It sounds like we're gonna do a best of or something.
Yeah, I don't know. We'll see about that because I'm looking at the forecast, and my thing is all about the weather. If the weather is good, then I'm not gonna be. So the weather is supposed to be 91 and sunny on Friday. We may just take Friday off. If I do that, I got to tell Charlie Plot because we were going to talk PGA Championship on Friday. We may have to talk that on Thursday. We may just decide to take Friday off. I'm just letting you know right now. There's a strong possibility that we have our meeting today, so that'll be brought up in the meeting that we will not be working on Friday.
Sounds like a plan.
Okay. Anyway, welcome into the show, 256-576-4977. That's the number to the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline. And this morning, as you make your way into work, into school, wherever you go, safe travels, by the way. I'm going to ask this because we've talked a lot about these win projections. 24/7 Sports said worst case scenario, best case scenario for Alabama, for Auburn, for Tennessee, for all these schools. And, I mean, it is the middle of May. I mean, it's conversation is that's why they put those out there. So, I mean, we don't really know. I mean, the worst case scenario for every team is that they lose everything. The best case scenario is that they win everything. I mean, that's really best and worst all around. But what would be and I mean within realistic, I'm not talking about over the moon to the point where it can never happen. But what would be your wildest prediction for Alabama football for 2022? Same thing for Auburn, Tennessee, Georgia, Texas A&M. If you were making those records or you're making a prediction, if you were writing for us here at 97.7 ESPN The Zone, and we were going to put your predictions on our webpage, kind of like 24/7 Sports does, of anything, what would be your wildest prediction for Alabama, for Auburn, for Tennessee, for any of the SEC schools or any school in college football? What would be your wildest prediction? And then do the opposite. What would be your worst case scenario for your team, for any team in the SEC? If you were writing for us here and you had to do it, what would it be? 256-576-4977. That's how we get you started on this Tuesday morning. We want to hear from you as you help us answer that along the way. We got some good stuff coming up here in hour one. We are going to talk more high school baseball. Decatur Heritage getting ready to begin their 2A state championship series tomorrow. They're going to take on GW Long. Game one will be, remember, they've moved this all from Montgomery. So game one is going to be at Choccolocca Park tomorrow at 4 o'clock in Oxford. Russellville then will play in the 5A state championship game one tomorrow at 7 o'clock against Holtville. And then they move. So what they've done is game one is in Choccolocca Park in Oxford. Game two and game three are at Jim Case Stadium on the campus of Jacksonville State University. So they've kind of changed venues there for the state baseball tournament. Now, state softball tournament is there at Choccolocca Park as well. So the state changing things up there, at least on the baseball side of things. So a little different. But Steve Meek will join us here in hour number one as we talk about that. Yesterday, we talked about the life expectancy of a coaching college football coach in a lot of these major college football conferences. But today in The Athletic, there's an article from Chris Vanini. Great article. Great article. And if you got time, cruise over to The Athletic and check it out. And basically, it's the coaching carousel. You know, it taught us that no job is too good to leave, among other lessons. Because we always sit here and say that our college football coach that we love and adore, there's no other job that he would leave for. And they always say, a lot of these college football coaches always say, well, I got the best job in the country. I got the best job in the country. They have the best job in the country until somebody else comes with a big wallet of money and offers them a lot of money to come to a new school. And then all of a sudden, they have the only job they'd ever leave for would be this said job. More than 40% of the FBS head coaches hired from 2013 to 2020, Chad, have been fired. More than 40%. I guess you're not a college football coach unless you have been fired. That includes 8 of the 27 hired in the 2018-2019 cycle 3 years ago. There were 29 changes in the 2001-2022 cycle, the most since the 29 after the 2015 cycle. The average, in case you're wondering, at the end of a college football season in the past 10 years is 23 coaches per cycle. Now, we had heavyweights open this past year. USC, Notre Dame, Oklahoma, LSU, Florida, Miami, Washington. Kind of set up a little bit of drama. Now, 29 of the 29 new head coaches in this cycle, 7 were hired directly from head coaching jobs. 19 were assistants. 3 were out of work. So, we've talked about Lincoln Riley going from Oklahoma to USC. Oklahoma is one of those jobs that when you think about it, you do not see coaches leave Oklahoma to go to another school. We've seen Bob Stoops retire from Oklahoma. We've seen Barry Switzer, remember back in the day? Barry Switzer left, I believe, Oklahoma to go to the Dallas Cowboys. But they don't leave lots of times to go to another head coaching job when they are at Oklahoma. In fact, Lincoln Riley became the first Oklahoma coach since 1947 to leave Oklahoma to go to another college coaching job. 1947. Nobody leaves Oklahoma. Brian Kelly left LSU, or left Notre Dame to go to LSU, I should say. You want to take a guess on how long it had been since a Notre Dame coach left to take another college head football coaching job?
20s.
No. 1907.
Wow.
1907, the last Notre Dame coach to leave to take another college coaching job.
Probably wasn't as easy as it is now. I feel like it's a lot easier now for coaches, especially coaches that are somewhat established.
But like I said, though, they always say, most of these coaches will tell you that once they are at these institutions, like in Oklahoma, a Notre Dame, a USC, a Texas, that they don't ever leave. They don't ever want to leave because it's the greatest job and this is their dream job. But once somebody back, like look at Jimbo Fisher. Jimbo Fisher is a great example. I don't think, things at Florida State took a turn for the worse when he was there because facilities and everything else like that. But we always assumed that Florida State was a job that once you had, because Bobby Bowden was there forever, that once you were there, you weren't going to leave Florida State. But Texas A&M backed up the Brinks truck, and the next thing you know, Jimbo Fisher is now at a job that he'll never leave because he's making way too much money now. Way too much. So I guess you can never say never that your coach is ever going to leave. I mean, Texas made a gargantuan push several years ago to get Nick Saban. I mean, everybody knows that. It's interesting, I think. You look at it, and what's been the rage in college football over the past few years is offense, right?
Yeah.
Everybody wants that high-flying, high-octane offense. They want that next up-and-comer offensive coordinator at the group of five that can lead them and lead their team into the great offensive future of college football. Of the 19 assistants hired this offseason, 11 were defensive assistants. It's the first time in many years that defensive assistants were hired over offensive assistants. The previous three carousels combined featured 12 defensive assistants hired to head coaching jobs. 3 years we had 12 combined. This year we had 11 defensive assistants hired to be head coaches.
It's always, it's seasonal. I feel like it's 1 year. It's pretty stupid too. I don't what goes into the hiring process of certain coaches, because it seems like every year it's like, oh, the defense is bad, so let's hire a defensive-minded head coach, and then they'd go do that, and then the defense doesn't get any better, and then they go try to hire an offensive guy, and then they go try to hire an offensive guy again, and then they try to do all these weird changes every single year where if it doesn't work, it doesn't work, and it just seems like you just have to find the right fit, and some colleges can do it and some can't. Some just kind of luck out, and some have to. It's like a revolving door.
So we see this a lot in the professional sports ranks, that once you become a head coach, you're going to get 2-3 chances to succeed, even if you are awful as a head coach. We see that a lot. You don't see it so much in college football. You do in certain cases. Ed Orgeron was not great at Ole Miss. Ed Orgeron gets a second chance at LSU, wins a national championship, but ultimately we know now that Ed Orgeron probably not a great head coach. Great line coach, not great head coach.
Well, some guys just can't get guys to play and buy in, and like, it doesn't matter. I mean, at the end of the day, I don't think it's a negative to not be a great head coach. I mean, Ed Orgeron basically took over and won a national title with the team he had, and then everybody kind of left and did their own part and parted their ways to get a better job or whatever. And it's about keeping your core, or not keeping your core, but like being able to get guys that can come in and buy into the program too, not only players but coaches. And I feel like a lot of coaches don't do that, like Nick Saban and some other programs might be able to do, to get coaches to buy into what they're trying to coach.
But we don't see coaches getting a lot of second chances, third chances in college football.
Guys in college, though, I feel like guys in college, though, you'll see, like, they'll become assistants immediately. Like, they'll be an assistant for somebody they know, like, immediately.
Well,
it's not like that in the pros a lot of times where you'll see them, but you may not know that they're there because, they're not talked about it. In college football, it's talked about. So it's like as soon as they lose their job, it's like, hey, they're an assistant.
They don't get head coaching chances again.
Well, that's what I'm saying. It's a lot easier for them to get assistant than it is a head coaching job.
Right.
Yeah. We don't see that nearly enough.
So Jim Mora is getting another chance this year. Remember Jim Mora?
Yep.
UCLA and other stops along the way. He's now at UConn. Jeff Tedford is getting another chance. He is back on the sidelines at Fresno State. Clay Helton is getting another chance to be a head coach. Clay Helton is at Georgia Southern, and Jerry Kill is at New Mexico State. Now, Jerry Kill is a little different story because he had those health issues, and Minnesota forced him to step away from the game, and now he is back on the sidelines at New Mexico State. And we talk about the college coach making that jump to the NFL, which is something we don't see a ton of. A college coach has not jumped to the NFL since Matt Rule after the 2019 season. Rule and Cliff Kingsbury are the only two since 2015 to make that jump to the NFL. If you look at college football right now, and I know everybody could say Nick Saban because he made that jump from LSU to Miami. But is there a coach right now in college football at a premier Power 5 program? We'll just limit it to that. SEC, ACC, Big Ten, Pac-12. Is there a coach in college football right now that you could see making that jump to the NFL at the end of this coming year? Let's just say, I don't know. I mean, it's not going to be Carolina because Carolina bit on Matt Rule and that didn't work. So I'm thinking one of the worst NFL teams out there that would take a flyer on a college coach like a Ryan Day, Pat Fitzgerald, or a Lincoln Riley. I'm thinking of someone like that.
I don't necessarily know if they would leave for the NFL. I think one guy that I could see if it went well another year, maybe Jim Harbaugh again. I feel like when we talk about guys get another chance, especially in the NFL.
He had a chance this past year.
And that's what I'm saying.
But he didn't take it.
I just think that if the right job comes available, and I think he would take it again. I think he's a coach that would love to get back in the NFL.
What about a Luke Fickell?
I don't know if Luke Fickell works in the NFL. I don't know if the whole I just don't know if that works because I feel like that a lot of times in the NFL you've got head cases everywhere, and the whole row the boat thing may not work. I mean, it may. It's just I don't know. I just think that a lot of times when we look at the NFL and we think of coaches, you need a guy that's stern, a guy that's maybe played in the NFL.
But Luke Fickell's a no-nonsense type of guy.
I understand. I understand that, but the whole camaraderie thing in the NFL, the whole back, that's not like that in the NFL. You got guys, you got head cases, you got divas, it's a lot different than in college. Why do you think? I mean, Nick Saban, no nonsense, and yet it didn't work.
Well, if Nick Saban gets a quarterback, we know that story. I mean, if Drew Brees passes that physical, it's a completely different
It's the Miami Dolphins, though. I mean, at the end of the day, I feel like the Miami Dolphins organization probably wouldn't have done enough for Drew Brees anyway. He had a better opportunity going to the Saints, and he obviously made the most out of his career there. I don't know if Nick Saban would have been. I just don't know though. It's hypothetical, but that's the Miami Dolphins organization right there for you that hasn't done anything since then. So I mean, they really haven't. So I mean, they're really not even trying with Tua right now. So I mean, they've made the moves, but I think they overpaid for Tyreek Hill, and I think they should have maybe helped along the offensive line a little bit more.
All right, we got more to unpack when it comes to this article here in The Athletic because it talks about contracts, length of contracts, what's the new norm in college football. A lot to go over with that. Plus, we got Tennessee Volunteer football news to get through. They got a new opponent for the 2023 season. We got a lot to get to. We've only really tipped the surface. When we come back, Steve Meek, head coach at Decatur Heritage, going to join the show. Going to talk a little high school baseball, Decatur Heritage style.
You're listening to Talkin' Ball on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
Two problem areas this morning. Westbound on 565. They're taking all the traffic off at the Sparkman Bob Wallace overpass area. You stay on the access road until you get past Old Madison Pike. And we got two different wrecks eastbound on 565. One's at Greenbrier, one's at mile marker 4. You'll be doing yourself a favor by getting all the way over to the right there. No mask, no hose. You could ask Dr. Sandman, that's Dr. Sandlin, for the medically proven benefits of the Somnodent for sleep apnea and snoring. Dr. Sandlin, 350-CARE. Captain Nick in the 72 and Jeff Popeye Skywatch Traffic Center.
This is Wes Neighbors talking to Chris Haygood of Bob Wallace Appliance. Chris, what sets you apart from other appliance dealerships?
Wes, these appliances are going into the most used room in your house, your kitchen. The way we have these appliances displayed, it's easy for you to visualize how they'll look in your home. Wes, what sets us apart is the people. They're well trained. In fact, they live and breathe these appliances. And if you need service, you'll really appreciate our parts department.
Contact Bob Wallace Appliance at 256-533-2121.
The Trash Pandas are back for 6 games at Toyota Field starting Tuesday, May 24th against the Tennessee Smokies. The week's promotions include an Izzy Wilson bobblehead giveaway on Tuesday, Armed Forces Night on Thursday, and a Trash Pandas camo cap giveaway on Sunday. Get your tickets for all the fun now at TrashPandasBaseball.com.
Let's rock it.
Tom Luganbill here for my friends at Woody Anderson Ford. Bobby White and his team take great pride in their service department, and you can see it the moment you walk into those beautiful new service lanes. And just like a championship team, they all work together to make sure your experience is second to none, whether you drive a Ford or not. Also, check out the gold-certified pre-owned inventory at Woody Anderson Ford for great deals every day. Stop by and see them at Jordan and Sparkman or at Woody Anderson of Madison on Hughes Road, or visit WoodyAndersonFord.com.
Outdoor season is coming. Can't wait.
Here at Brooks & Collier, neither can we. Outdoor season is also grilling season.
And we have plenty of grills and smokers in stock from Traeger, Blaze, and Big Green Egg.
There's the greenhouse, new indoor items and home furnishings as well.
Whatever it takes. Browse over 2 acres of furnishings. Can't wait.
How about you? North Alabama's indoor and outdoor living headquarters for over 75 years.
813 Meridian Street and at brooksandcollier.com.
You want the right specialist for your recovery. At SportsMed Orthopedic Surgery and Spine Center, we understand every body is different. Your muscles and bones are unique, as is your body. Our SportsMed specialists offer innovative treatments and minimally invasive procedures, allowing you to quickly return to the life you love. Locations in Huntsville, Madison, Athens, and Decatur, and on the web at sportsmedalabama.com. Improving performance, improving lives.
With a new face at first and some of the best arms in the National League, this 2022 Braves team is loaded up for another run at the crown.
Swung on, hit high and deep to center. That ball is gone! Home run!
Tonight, don't miss Atlanta Braves baseball from American Family Field in Milwaukee as the Braves face off against Andrew McCutchen and the Brewers. Braves radio's on the air at 6:25 Eastern, 5:25 Central on the Braves Radio Network.
You have to go all the way to Coleman County to find an accident. Sounds like we got one on the interstate about the 314. That would put it on the north side of Coleman. Everything else looking good this morning. You be careful on that ride in. Put some extra room in there so you got somewhere to go if something goes wrong. Officers, construction workers, and first responders put their lives on the line every time they step on the roadway. Why not make it safer for them? Move over. It's the law. Captain Nick in the 72 and Jeff Popeye Skywatch Traffic Center.
All the press conferences.
It's our mental energy, I would say. Spend less time complaining about, when I was going to get an opportunity. Just spend more time training and working towards.
Plus, all of the rat poison is served up right here.
It's yummy.
On 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
This is Chuck Oliver. Listen to me coming up at noon today. Now, back to Talkin' Ball with Scott Tyson and Drew DeArmond on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Indeed, welcome back. Talking Ball, 97.7 ESPN The Zone. It is a Tuesday morning. Welcome in, everyone. The state high school baseball playoffs have started. They got underway yesterday with Game 1 of the Class 3A State Championship Series. Piedmont taking on Trinity Presbyterian. Piedmont gets a win in Game 1, 4-2. They will play in Game 2 today at 10 a.m. on the campus of Jacksonville State University. Coming up later today, on Tuesday, you're going to get Game 1 between Mobile Christian and Etowah. That is the Class 4A Championship Series. That'll be tonight at 7 o'clock. Then coming up tomorrow at 4 p.m., Game 1 of the Class 2A State Championship Series. Decatur Heritage going to take on G.W. Long from Choccolocco Park in Oxford. Their head coach, Steve Meek of Decatur Heritage, kind enough to get up with us this morning on a Tuesday and joining us on the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline to preview that series. Coach, good morning.
Good morning. How are y'all today?
Doing good. And I am sure you're going to have some anxious moments between now and tomorrow as you just probably want to get back on the diamond and play this series. But nonetheless, congratulations on getting this far to the state championship series in Class 2A.
Well, thank you so much. It's, I was griping a little bit about all the hoops you got to jump through and do this and fill out this form and send this in. And I was talking to another coach, and they said, Coach, you don't need to gripe about that. Well, anybody would trade places with you to be able to do that. And so I had to go back and kind of count my blessings and realize, yes, you got to do all these things, but you're getting to go to play in the finals. So it's a huge reward for our guys in our program.
Well, Coach, let's talk about so far Decatur Heritage on a nice little run, making it all the way to the Class 2A state championship game. Let's go back up just a little bit. The semifinal series with Mars Hill. What a battle that semifinal series was.
Oh my goodness, it was, and we knew that. We felt like Westbrook would be a challenge, and certainly they were. They been there and done that and won it last year, and we had circled them that we knew we had to get through them to even get to the semifinals. Felt like it might be Mars Hill, and so when we got there, it was exactly what we figured. The I guess two best teams in North Alabama facing in the semifinals to get to go to the finals, and it lived up to what everybody expected. It was a 3-game series, hard fought down to the very last out, actually.
Yeah, you look at it. 16-11 was one of the games. Mars Hill wins. You guys get one, 12-2, and then 3-1. Plenty of offense in a couple of those games, and then you get one game that was a pitcher's kind of a game.
Oh yeah, we probably played one of our worst games of the year defensively in Game 1. I don't know if it was nerves or just not used to it. I don't know what happened, but credit to them. They took it to us, and that even was an odd game. Our pitcher Cole O'Brien pitched great all year and threw better than the results showed in that game. We made 10 errors behind him and several more errors on the bases, and got that kind of straightened out between games and came back and played one of our cleanest games of the year in Game 2. And so, it came down to the Game 3, and it was 0-0, I guess, through 5, and their pitcher was handcuffing us, and our pitcher had a no-hitter going through 5, I guess, and, a true pitcher's duel.
Coach, kind of talk about some of the guys that have kind of highlighted this run to the semifinals.
Well, there's too many to talk about in just a few minutes. Nash Rippin jumps out. He got us going in that Game 3 with a huge 2-run homer, and I think he's hit 15 this year. He hit 12 or 13 last year. Hit 15 home runs this year, batting probably 470, 480. I'm not sure what he's batting now. Stalwart back there at catcher for us, but also can play first base or outfield whenever we need to rest him. I'll go through our seniors. Tyler Founds, up until this semifinal series, had given up one earned run all year. I looked at the stats at one point and saw .214 ERA, and I thought, boy, those dummies at Game Changer put the period in the wrong place. That's got to be 2.14, but no, it was a .214 ERA, and just a battler at shortstop and on the mound. And our leadoff guy, Cole O'Brien, I mentioned, used our Game 1 pitcher, going to play at Columbia State next year. Count on him every time he goes out. Charlie Moore's just a steady rock at second base, turns two as well as anybody we've had in a long, long time. Luke Tuttle Frazier, a senior who pitched a lot for us early in the year, fine young man, overcame some health issues when he was younger, and it's just been a pleasure to be around. Just such a team guy. Tyler Olive injured a shoulder in football. Actually had to leave us in our playoff run in football to have shoulder surgery, and it worked out that he could come back and join us. Kind of about midway through the year, just started getting his arm strength back from that shoulder surgery, and hit 5 or 6 home runs. And somebody needs to pick him up. He's going to be a good player in college. Bo Solly's helped us on the mound in the infield. I guess I got all my seniors. Tyler Cole. I don't want to leave one out at this point. Charlie, Tyler Olive, Luke, and Nash. Yeah. Bo Solly. We've got a couple of freshmen that have stepped in and earned a spot in Shine Barron in the outfield, and Paxton Tarver, outfield pitcher, plays short when Tyler Founds pitches, and then Bryant Spartman, just a real talent as a pitcher outfielder, swinging a good bat too. So, I mean, we've got a lot of guys that have stepped up. Matt Hurst struggled early in the year, has come on and has kind of assumed the DH role a lot of the time. Got some courtesy runners that have embraced that role, and Harrison Hardy and Jasper Miller. But really with us, it's about our whole team, and it's just a pleasure to be around these fine young men and get to coach them every day, and have watched them develop into really good baseball players too.
One of the things that the state did was kind of let you guys, get that semifinal series set so that you can, if you advance, you can get that pitching rotation all set and ready to go. You'll play Game 1 tomorrow, 4 o'clock, against GW Long. Do you have everything in order as far as your pitching goes, the way you want it heading into Game 1?
Yeah, we do. We actually moved the quarterfinal series up to Thursday, Friday, to allow us to make sure we could move that semifinal series up. Whoever goes to the finals wants to make sure they have their pitchers rested and so forth. The guys that had to play yesterday or even today, sure enough, had to move theirs up. So we've had some experience in this, and kind of knew, and the other coaches did too, that it was necessary. Even though you really like a Friday Saturday playoff series, it's necessary to be able to rest your pitchers by moving up those quarterfinals and for sure the semifinal series to get enough rest.
Well, let's look at GW Long a little bit. Not too familiar with them. We don't see them a lot up here. What do they have? What's this series going to look like in your mind?
Well, we don't see them a lot up here, but if you go to the finals year in and year out, you're going to see GW Long. I think they've won something like 6 out of the last 8 and maybe 17 total state titles. I mean, I think Drew Miller's dad coached before him and established this program, and he's taken it and run with it. And, he's a class act, and that program is. And, they've got a lot of good guys. And I think people that in that area that want to play quality baseball move to Skipperville and play for Coach Miller at GW Long. Fine program. Top to bottom, they hit 1 through 9 just every year. They have hitters. They've got a young catcher this year that I understand is really top-notch, 9th grader that blocks well and receives and works the pitchers really well. And then usually they count on hitting, and they'll beat people to death at the plate. But they've got pitching this year that can take the bats out of your hands too. And they've got a Chancey kid and a McDaniel kid, a righty and a lefty that are really good pitchers. And so people tell us we're loaded too. So I don't know. We'll see. I hope we can show up and just calm down and play our game. I think it'll be fun to watch for anybody that can get over to Oxford on Wednesday and then over to Jack State on Thursday. I think they'll see some good baseball.
Yeah, that's the thing. You guys have made this trip before to the state championship game. You as a head coach have made it there as well. Different venue, though. It's not Montgomery now. It's in Oxford and then Jacksonville State. Great facilities now for this state baseball tournament.
Absolutely. And, you hear this a year ago and you think, oh, great. I want our kids to get to go down and experience the nice hotels there in Montgomery and Montgomery Biscuit Stadium there. But the people of Oxford and the people of Jack State have rolled out the red carpet. They're doing everything they can to make this a first-class event and venue and honor these kids the way they should be. And they've got things planned. And, I took a virtual tour of the Jack State Stadium a couple of years ago when they did their major renovations, and Coach Case runs a class program there, and their facilities are tremendous, and I know our kids will enjoy playing there as well as Chocolaca.
Well, Coach, I know you hung up the whistle on the football side of things. This isn't your last run in baseball, is it?
Oh yeah, this is it.
Okay.
I'm retiring as soon as we lose. As soon as we lose, I've told them all year, or now as soon as we win, whichever it may be. So, yeah, this is a great way to go out. But if we had not even made the playoffs, it would have been a great way to end my career at Decatur Heritage. I've started at Opelika and was at Austin twice, and Bob Jones in Lawrence County along the way in public schools, 27 years, and now at Decatur Heritage these last 11 has been great for my family and me, and just the Christian atmosphere and what we're trying to pour into young students and athletes within our programs. Just been tremendous for myself, my family, and it's just been a real blessing for me to be a part of it. And now it's time to go and let somebody younger take over both these programs, and I think it's going to be in great hands.
Decatur Heritage head coach Steve Meek joining us on the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline. Coach, ultimately then, if Decatur Heritage is able to get those 2 wins, win that 2A state championship, ultimately, what does it come down to take this series?
I think our pitchers need to pitch the way they have all year, and that's command the strike zone and limit walks. Defensively, we can't play like we did in Game 1 against Mars Hill and make errors and let them have extra chances. G.W. Long is plenty good enough to beat you on your best day, and we need to have our best day. And then at the plate, we got to limit our strikeouts. We've struck out a lot this year, but we've also hit home runs and doubles a lot and taken beanballs and walks, and we've hit and run, gone first to third. We've bunted runners over and hit sac flies. So whatever it takes for us to score a run or two or score in bunches, we need to make sure we execute that offensively, and then have our pitchers do what they do. And I think it should be a really good series.
All right, that series begins tomorrow, 4 o'clock. Coach, I know just some anxious moments. I know you just want to get out there. I know the kids just want to get out there and get this series underway. I'm sure they are just chomping at the bit to get back on the diamond.
Absolutely. We had a little voluntary practice Sunday afternoon, and all of them showed up, and then yesterday and today, and then you go play. You hit a little bit before the game and take a few ground balls and fly balls and get warmed up, and then it's just like any other game. Hopefully the nerves are gone and you just play. And I think for our guys to do that, it'll be crucial for us to have a chance in this series to just relax and do what they can do, because they're plenty good enough.
All right, Coach Steve Meek, thanks for joining us on the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline. Best of luck in this series, this championship series, this 2A championship series with GW Long beginning tomorrow, Coach. Best of luck, and thank you for everything, and thanks for taking time to join us.
Well, it was my pleasure, and I really appreciate what y'all do to highlight high school sports, and best of luck to you and the rest of the crew there.
Thanks. Decatur Heritage head coach Steve Meek joining us on the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline, and his final go-around as a head coach, Chad. When Decatur Heritage, we'll just say it, if they're able to come out on top, he'll retire as a state champion on the baseball side as a coach, because this is it for him. He hung it up. Nikita Stover now, the new head coach on the football side for Decatur Heritage. But if Steve Meek, win or lose, this is it for him. Decatur Heritage comes in 30-9, GW Long 32-8. For it's the 2A state championship series beginning tomorrow at 4 o'clock.
Should be a fun time. It should be historic for him as well. A guy that's been there and helped both programs succeed very much, and you can tell that he really does love being around the program. So I'm sure it'll be heartwarming for sure.
We've had him numerous times on the coaches show.
Coaches show,
but the high school scoreboard show on Friday night.
Because he'd be the only one that answer. So I mean, all the other coaches wouldn't answer. So I mean, we'd have to, we'd have to call him up and hit him up. But no, also, I mean, he kept winning. I mean, they were winning programs. So I mean, you want to have winning programs on there, but you want to have consistent programs, and that's kind of what he's done. And you can clearly tell in both programs. Being able to get to the state playoffs like that he's done a bang-up job.
All right, it is 7:45 on a Tuesday morning. Let's get a break in. When we come back, going to wrap up Hour 1, Talking Ball, 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
You're listening to Talkin' Ball on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
It looks like they're still keeping traffic out of the number 1 lane westbound on 565. This is the stretch from about Jordan up past Old Madison Pike. They had a construction equipment failure there. We got 3 different wrecks now coming westbound on 72 and 565 from the top of Chapman down to about Oakwood. HPD's working on those. We got one at County Line and Madison Boulevard. It's been updated to an injury type. And we got one on University west of Sparkman with a motorcycle involved. It's a no injury. Popeye's $6 shrimp tackle box is back with 8 butterfly shrimp, a signature side, and a buttermilk biscuit. University and Jordan, 72 and Jeff, and North Parkway. Captain Nick in the Popeye Skywatch Traffic Center.
The world champs are back. The Braves are out to defend their world championship. And behind Matt Olson, Ronald Acuna, Dansby Swanson, Max Fried, and this loaded 2022 roster, a repeat is within reach.
There goes Ozzie, 2-2 on the way, hit well. Deep center field. Might have ourselves a tie ball game. You betcha.
And we'll bring you every huge moment of the Braves 2022 season right here on the Atlanta Braves Radio Network.
This is Wes Neighbors with Philip with Eagle Insulation, and we have an announcement to make.
Yes, Wes, we are now Eagle Masonry and Insulation. We're still a place to call for your insulation needs, but now we offer masonry services.
What kind of masonry projects can you handle?
Wes, no job is too big, no job is too small. We can do renovations, new construction, outdoor fireplaces, fire pits, brick landscape borders.
Well, when you came out to my house, you did both the insulation and masonry at the same time. You guys did rock for me, you did brick for me, and you insulated my house. That's usually done at the same time that you're building a house.
Absolutely. It really capitalizes on 2 services you need at the same time, and you can get one company to handle both of those.
Philip with Eagle Insulation will come out, do your installation. He'll do your masonry. They do a great job. They guarantee your work. Check out more online at insulatedwitheagle.com and schedule your free examination today. 256-755-1556.
Thanks, Wes.
Ann Adams with Berkshire Hathaway Rise Real Estate is the one name to know if you're buying or selling real estate. With years of local experience, Ann Adams offers buyers in-depth knowledge of the local housing market and will narrow available properties down to those you'll be interested in so you can save time when shopping for your new home. If you're ready to sell, Ann offers a seamless process using accurate pricing and expert negotiation skills to make sure you get a fair price for your home. Call Ann Adams today at 256-337-2625 or log on bhhsriserealestate.com.
And now a small business setback, delivered by a kind French stranger.
Monsieur, there was an accident. The windshield of your catering van is, how do you say, kaput? But Progressive has an extensive network of repair shops. Now, we sing about the old days. Brave marin revient de guerre.
When things go wrong with your small business, it's comforting to know you have Progressive Commercial. Get a quote in as little as 6 minutes at progressivecommercial.com.
Croissance for everyone. Brave
Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Covered subject to policy terms and conditions.
You've got to experience Toyotathon at Bill Penny Toyota. They've got the selection with over 700 new Toyotas to choose from. And they've got the extras with Bill Penny perks and a 10-year unlimited warranty. So get on over to Bill Penny Toyota today and experience Toyotathon. Bill Penny Toyota in Huntsville and online at BillPennyToyota.com. Bill Penny's Toyota 10-year unlimited warranty is valid through the 10th year of ownership. Valid on new vehicles only. See dealer for details.
From the Fox 54 Weather Center, I'm Chief Meteorologist Jordan Dressman. A mostly sunny sky this afternoon really is going to be a fantastic day. Temperatures climbing into the low and mid-80s, dropping into the upper 50s and lower 60s as we head into the overnight. An isolated shower is going to be possible on Wednesday. I don't want you to put too much thought into that. Most of us probably going to end up staying dry. Partly sunny sky. Temperatures hanging out in the upper 80s and lower 90s, dropping into the upper 60s as we head into the overnight. I'm Chief Meteorologist Jordan Dressman on your home for ESPN Radio, 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
This segment of Talkin' Ball is brought to you by University Kia, the #1 volume Kia dealer in the state of Alabama. Located online at universitykia.com.
Welcome back, Talking Ball, 97.7 ESPN The Zone. Scott Tyson with you. Drew DeArmond still away from us. He'll be back, hopefully, by the end of the week. But we've already decided, I think, on the show that we're going to be out on Friday. So we may get him back on Monday of next week. I don't know, but we'll see. That is something we just decided since we started the show, that we just may take Friday off. Anyway, yesterday it was announced, and it is probably one of the premier or mid, I guess you could say, non-conference matchups that we're going to have this year. There's going to be so much intrigue with it, and that is the Alabama-Texas game. That comes in week 2, September 10th for Alabama. They're going to open up with Utah State, and then they'll make that travel to Austin, Texas. I mean, it's going to be Nick Saban, Steve Sarkisian. The storylines are going to be endless in this one. I mean, both of them are in the Arch Manning sweepstakes. I mean, there's just going to be all kinds of intrigue in this one. You got the former Alabama players on the Texas side. I mean, you've got just all kinds of intrigue with this ball game. Yesterday, it was announced that Fox will broadcast that game. Fox.
Ugh.
I know. First of all, because I'm sorry,
Those
I am
Fox
not a fan.
broadcasts are bad.
But as soon as it was announced that Fox was going to carry the game, you noticed that Fox did not put a kickoff time attached to the game. They just said that Fox will this microphone just wants to keep dropping on me all day. Fox will broadcast the game. Now, Fox has their big noon kickoff, which is 11 a.m. kickoff here Central Time. It's noon on the East Coast. There is great fear that the Bama-Texas game will kick off at 11 a.m. towards the end of summer in Austin, Texas. That is going to be a warm game if indeed they play this one at 11 a.m. My feeling is they will not. My feeling is that they will make this a primetime game, I think.
Be nice to turn it into a 2:30 CBS game.
That won't happen. We know Fox has it now.
Yeah.
So my feeling is that Texas Alabama will kick off at night, I think. But right now, the fear is that that game will kick off at 11 a.m.
That's stupid. That's so stupid.
If indeed that's what it happens.
Put the Big Ten game. Put the Big Ten game
Put
of the week
any
on there.
game.
Put the Big 12, whatever Big 12 game is going on that day, outside of Texas, and then move it to 2:30 or night, like you said. Make it a 6:00 game.
I was going to try and pull up the September 10th games for this coming football season. I wanted to see, let's see if I can find what games are going to be coming on September 10th. Let's go to week 2, I believe. Okay, here we go. These are the games that we have this week or that week, just so that we can sit here and say these are games that'll happen. These are games that could take over the airwaves. And if I'm looking at it right, Marshall's at Notre Dame. That one we don't care about. I mean, this game here, the Alabama-Texas game.
It's the best game.
It is.
I mean, you've got Georgia and Samford. You've got Alabama State, UCLA, LSU, Southern. It seems like everybody's playing their
A&M
cupcake.
and Troy.
It sounds like you've got everybody's cupcake game on week 2. So, yeah, there's not much going on. So maybe we need to have that.
You got
11
Iowa
o'clock
State
game.
and Iowa. Now there you go.
There you go.
I hate that they play that game in week 2 of the
Yeah,
year. I don't.
I said the same thing about a certain high school event. I don't like it being the 3rd game of the year.
Well, if they didn't, nobody else would come to the games if they played
At
it
the
in
end of the year.
this season. Alabama,
still did.
Texas, there it is. Missouri at Kansas State. That's a decent game, but not a great game. Wake Forest is at Vanderbilt. Virginia is at Illinois. Washington State is at Wisconsin. So that really is the premier matchup of what they call week 2. Though there is a week 0 in college football. So you can call it week 1, you can call it week 2, but that's Alabama-Texas is the premier matchup. Because remember last year, didn't they put an Oklahoma non-conference game on their big whatever Fox kickoff at 11 a.m.? Didn't they play an Oklahoma game early, I believe? I believe one of the Oklahoma games, it was a big matchup. And I believe Fox put it on there early, if I'm not mistaken. Anyway, that is the kickoff time, or not kickoff time. You will get to see Fox broadcast Alabama and Texas. Other college football scheduling notes. Tennessee has a new opponent in 2023, a new season opening opponent. Instead, they were supposed to play BYU to open the 2023 season. Instead, Tennessee will now open the 2023 season against Virginia at Nissan Stadium in Nashville. Now, BYU is getting set to move to the Big 12. They're going to begin play in their new conference next season. It is Tennessee, though, initiating this change. So they're going to give Virginia the game between the Vols and the Cavaliers will be September 2nd. Their first meeting since 1991 when they faced each other in the Sugar Bowl. Tennessee won that one 23-22. It'll be Tennessee's 3rd season opener in Nashville after the Vols beat Wyoming in that stadium in 2002 and won a shootout against Bowling Green in 2015. But I think everybody wants to talk about how Tennessee ended the Music City Bowl rather than how they opened up games there. I mean, That'll be 2023. I'm wondering by then if anybody will bring the fact up that the last time Tennessee, presumably at that point, played in Nissan Stadium, this is the outcome that we had. There was, though, a $2 million penalty for Tennessee or BYU for not fulfilling one of the two scheduled games agreed to back in 2017. So there you go. The original contract between the two schools included a clause addressing the Cougars' potential move from independent status to a Power 5 conference. If BYU joins a Power 5 conference, the 2023 game may be canceled by BYU at its sole discretion with no liquidated damage if notice given 24 months prior. Anyway, 256-576-4977. Phone lines are open to you to kick off hour number 2. Talk more about that Tennessee buyout of BYU and more college football talk when we return.
If you need a car, McCurry Motors is ready to put you in a quality vehicle, and in-house financing is available. If you have a job, McCurry Motors will work with you even if you have a bankruptcy, divorce, or bad credit. Visit McCurrySaysYes.com. Every car comes with a warranty, and they report to the credit bureau. With 2 locations, Highway 72 in Athens, call 256-230-0232, or Max Luther Drive in Huntsville. Call 256-713-0575.
With a new face at first and some of the best arms in the National League, this 2022 Braves team is loaded up for another run at the crown.
Swung on, hit high and deep to center. That ball is gone! Home run!
Tonight, don't miss Atlanta Braves baseball from American Family Field in Milwaukee as the Braves face off against Andrew McCutchen and the Brewers. Braves radio's on the air at 6:25 Eastern, 5:25 Central on the Braves Radio Network.
WZZN, Union Grove, Huntsville, Alabama. 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
Sounds like we've got 3 or 4 different wrecks on 72 and 565 from the top of Chapman down to about the downtown exit, so it's definitely going to be a slow ride for you there. Had a wreck with a motorcycle involved, University westbound near Sparkman. It's actually west of Sparkman. County Line and Madison Boulevard had an injury reported, and westbound 565 near the Parkway also reported with an injury. Snelling has a remote position for an accounting specialist with strong billing and accounts receivable experience. Huntsville.snelling.com. Captain Nick in the North Parkway, Popeyes Skywatch Traffic Center.
From the Fox 54 Weather Center, I'm Chief Meteorologist Jordan Dressman. A mostly sunny sky this afternoon really is going to be a fantastic day. Temperatures climbing into the low and mid-80s, dropping into the upper 50s and lower 60s as we head into the overnight. An isolated shower is going to be possible on Wednesday. I don't want you to put too much thought into that. Most of us probably going to end up staying dry. Partly sunny sky. Temperatures hanging out in the upper 80s and lower 90s, dropping into the upper 60s as we head into the overnight. I'm Chief Meteorologist Jordan Dressman on your home for ESPN Radio, 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
This is Brent Musburger's VSiN Action Update on 97.7 ESPN The Zone. Heads up, sports bettors. Right now you can try VSiN All Access free for 30 days with no credit card required. Visit vsin.com/free month to sign up now.
Round 2 of the Stanley Cup playoffs underway tonight. The Lightning at the Panthers in the East. Tampa Bay plus 140. Money line. Florida minus 160. 6.5 the total. In the West, the Blues at plus 180 at the Avalanche at minus 220. The over-under at 6.5. Kentucky Derby winner Rich Strike will not compete in this weekend's Preakness Stakes, meaning there will be no Triple Crown winner this year. Epicenter, the plus 125 favorite at Pimlico. Early voting plus 350 and Secret Oath plus 400. Game 1 of the Eastern Conference Finals tonight. The Celtics a 1.5-point underdog at the Heat. The over-under set at 204. Tomorrow night, Game 1 in the West. The Mavericks plus 5 at the Warriors. 214.5 the set total.
I'm Trey Westerberg, 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Log on today, 977ESPN.com. Welcome to Talkin' Ball with Scott Tyson and Drew DeArmond. Call into the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline now, 256-576-4977. That's 256-576-4977. Now, here's Scott and Drew.
All right, welcome back. Talking Ball, hour number 2. Scott Tyson with you on a Tuesday morning. Welcome back in. 256-576-4977. That's the number to the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline. We want to hear from you. We kicked off hour number 1 by asking the question, the most, if you had to, we talked about all these predictions and everything, the most outlandish prediction or the most crazy thing that you would predict for Alabama football, Auburn football in this coming new year. What's the one thing that you would sit here and say this would be something that, it's something you'd want to see happen, but realistically, it would not have, like Bryce Young throwing for 6,000 yards this year.
Bryce Young stays for another season. That would be, you never know, because the possibilities are endless of what could happen, and
right.
Maybe he doesn't want to come out for the draft. Maybe he's making more money in NIL. But I think if you win it twice, if you win the Heisman again, what if he wins the Heisman again?
That would be one I was just going to say.
Yeah.
Bryce Young winning the Heisman 2 straight years. That is unreal to say. That we're saying that would be an outlandish prediction, like a crazy prediction for this new year. But with the way that things are right now, and you look at it, and I know his year, and we talk about him on the pro level. We talk about Jameis Winston and everything that he went through and all the off-field stuff he did at Florida State and everything else that happened to him. When Jameis Winston won the Heisman, his next year was not a bad year on the football field at all. But you looked at it and you compared not Jameis Winston to the rest of the college football field that year, but you compared his numbers to the numbers that he had the previous year. And if Bryce Young goes out and has a great year like he had this past year, we're always going to compare Bryce Young to what he did this past season. Whether or not it's fair. If Bryce Young comes out and is the best quarterback of the year, we're going to find ways, people are going to find ways to say that he does not deserve to win the Heisman for a second straight year. Bryce Young, 4,872 yards, 47 touchdowns, and 7 interceptions this past season. If Bryce Young comes out and duplicates those numbers, let's say he throws for 4,700 yards, 45 touchdowns, and 8 interceptions. That won't be good enough to win the Heisman.
Well,
because we're going to sit here and say he's got 8 interceptions. That's one more than he threw last year. People are going to pick that apart. And then people are going to say, well, Alabama went out and got all brand new wide receivers. They're going to throw that in there. That, hey, they went out and got all this great talent so that they would make it easier for him. That'll be a knock. And that he didn't throw as many yards as he did last year when he won the Heisman. They're going to sit there and say, oh, something was off. And he won't win the Heisman this year. Because I don't think right now people, and I am a Heisman voter, if Bryce Young has the exact same numbers that he has this year, and the rest of the college football world is sitting there with what was like this past year, where it was great, but not like a runaway person there with Bryce Young, I'll vote for Bryce Young for a second straight Heisman if his numbers are there. I'm not going to compare Bryce Young's numbers to last year because I don't think you can do that. But there will be people that'll do that.
And I honestly wonder, like a lot of times, because you're obviously a Heisman voter, what goes into thinking about that the following year? Because if you look at it, Archie Griffin is the only one to win back-to-back.
Yes.
And his second year was not as good as the first year he won it. So what goes into the process of voting for someone like that, and what makes them better than the rest of the class and around them to do that? Because if we look at it, if Will Rogers has another great year in the SEC, he was like 100 yards less than Bryce. So if that kid has another good year, what does that say about the competition in the SEC, the quarterbacks in the SEC, and then the rest, everybody else trying to compete around him?
Well, obviously, you look at the Heisman odds, you look at people that are going to be there this coming football season.
I think he's getting the Aaron Rodgers
Keaton
effect.
Slovis, Anthony Richardson, Spencer Rattler, Trayvon Henderson. These are all guys that people are mentioning. C.J. Stroud is
Will
a big
Levis,
name.
first overall.
C.J. Stroud, yeah, whatever. C.J. Stroud's a name that's getting a lot of attention. Caleb Williams at USC, DJU at Clemson, Dylan Gabriel at Oklahoma, Jackson Dart. These are some of the quarterbacks that are going to be there in the beginning, whether or not they stay there. Jackson Dart at Ole Miss is an interesting situation because Jeff Lebby is gone from Ole Miss. We know Lane Kiffin likes to put up numbers. I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see how the Heisman voters react to Bryce Young this coming year. Fair or unfair, he's going to get it.
I don't know. I think if he's likable, like I said, he could get like the Aaron Rodgers effect where he stays in single digit interceptions. He has a ton of yards, a ton of TDs, and depending on how well Alabama plays, he still could get that because it's like, look what Bryce Young's doing outside of the rest of the team. So if he's able to do that with the team, who knows what's going to go into the process of the second round.
All right, 256-576-4977. Your most outlandish prediction for Alabama and Auburn for the 2022 season. That's how we got to talking about Bryce Young and his Heisman. An outlandish prediction could be the fact that Will Anderson wins the Heisman.
Yeah. And here's an Auburn one. Win the Iron Bowl. Because this team, you would think this team is better than the team last year, right? Like you would think, or you would think.
No, I don't think this year's team is better than last year's.
No, I mean the Alabama team. Like you would think coming into that, because I get it, it's the Iron Bowl. They're not afraid of them. Like they always say, they're not afraid of Alabama.
I think defensively, this Alabama team is better than they were last year. That defensive team last year was good.
I think the running back room is if not the same. I think the wide receivers are. Depending on the production,
the wide
and
receiver has to. They've got to produce. We don't know about that wide receiver core because they have not been as a big unit together.
Right.
We don't know how they're going to produce. We know they've got a guy that can get them the ball. We know Bryce Young can get them the ball.
Yeah.
We just don't know how well they're going to produce and how well they're going to mesh. They got talent. The offensive line for Alabama is that big question. How is that going to gel? How is that going to come together this coming fall?
But to go into Tuscaloosa and win the Iron Bowl, that would be huge for Auburn. That would I think, and to be able, even depending on what the record is.
Outlandish prediction. Is that an over?
Maybe because you've got the best two players in college football at Alabama on both sides of the ball. You got the best quarterback and you got the best edge rusher.
Because they were at home last year, and Auburn gave Alabama everything they could handle.
Yeah.
We all know the overtimes and everything else like that. Auburn gave Alabama everything. Playing in Bryant-Denny Stadium is a little bit different. That's on the road. I could say that would be an outlandish prediction.
It's a lot spookier playing at Jordan-Hare on an Iron Bowl than it. I feel like than it is in Tuscaloosa sometimes. You know what I mean? It seems like there's always been some crazy moments in Jordan-Hare.
I'm wondering if we said the winner of the Iron Bowl will win the SEC West.
Ooh.
Now, from Alabama's standpoint, that would not be an outlandish prediction.
No.
Because Alabama's expected to be there. But if we said Auburn, if they win the Iron Bowl, will win the SEC West, is that an outlandish prediction for the Auburn Tigers in 2022?
You would think so with Texas A&M and Alabama and whatever LSU comes out with, because LSU you just don't know. And Arkansas, I like KJ Jefferson. I like what they've got going on over there. I don't know how well they are on defense, but.
All right, earlier in the show, we also talked about this article in The Athletic. So if you want to get in on that an outlandish prediction that has some kind of thought to it, 256-576-4977. That's the number of the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline. Chris Vanini in The Athletic did this article. And part of it that we didn't get to was the fact that 10-year contracts, he says, are apparently the new norm in college football. Now, this past offseason, Chad, James Franklin, Mel Tucker, they all got 10-year contracts. Brian Kelly at LSU, 10-year contract. The likelihood of any one of those three finishing out their 10-year contract is slim to none. I do not see Mel Tucker or James Franklin finishing out a 10-year contract at Penn State or Michigan State.
Yeah, I
don't see either one of them doing that.
I think maybe James Franklin, because I think have we lost the luster of and then just like the spark of James? Like, I get it. It's great what he did at Vanderbilt, but really hasn't done a whole lot at Penn State. So
how does James Franklin get a 10-year contract, first of all? That
like,
is
what has he done enough to get to deserve it?
And Mel Tucker, I get it. Mel Tucker has done some great things at Michigan State.
Yeah.
But are you telling me that Mel Tucker is a 10-year, $9.5 million coach in college football? Mel Tucker, I get it. Assistant in Alabama, Michigan State, they've done well. He's got them trending in the right direction. But he does not have them in the playoffs. He does not have them winning a Big Ten championship, I don't believe. So is Mel Tucker a $9.5 million coach?
Apparently, I mean,
is James Franklin a $8.5 million coach with incentives?
Whoever's that right in the middle of the SEC should start getting paid Mel Tucker money, because if he finishes third every year in the East, you know what I mean, or just you finishes third in the Big Ten every single year, why are you paying this guy $10 million a year to be the third best coach?
Ryan Day makes $7.6 million.
I got him on the cheap.
Less than Tucker and Franklin. Dabo Swinney makes $8.5 million at Clemson. Ohio State AD, Athletics Director Gene Smith, said in the article, said there's no urgency to renegotiate Day's deal. No urgency to renegotiate Ryan Day's deal, who makes less than James Franklin or Mel Tucker. If Ohio State goes on and gets to the playoffs this year, which they have a good shot, but C.J. Stroud is the quarterback. Now, the biggest question with Ohio State is, will their new defensive coordinator fix their defensive woes? Because Ohio State's defensive prowess last year was, it was awful. Gene Smith will have to renegotiate Ryan Day's deal if Ohio State makes it to the playoffs this next year. That is going to happen. Anyway, I just thought that was interesting. That 10-year deals for college football coaches appear to be the norm. I just found that very interesting, that is something that we're seeing in college football, 10-year deals.
Yeah. Which, I mean, like, 10 years deals just don't sound realistic, because at the end of the day, if you don't get it done in 4 years, I think you're gone.
That's why I'm saying Brian Kelly at LSU. Okay, so if you take
LSU's
all
gonna
of those
be
three,
on him.
if you take all of those three coaches, James Franklin, Mel Tucker, and Brian Kelly. All three of those coaches, they have 10-year deals. The one coach that you're going to say most likely would become even close to coaching the 10-year deal would be Brian Kelly at LSU. That would be the only coach that you would see most likely fulfilling a 10-year deal. Most likely. It'd be the only coach.
Well, I think Brian Kelly, though, if he's not winning in 3 years, he's gone. LSU's going to be on him. Because I feel like
he's going to win. Brian Kelly's going to win at LSU.
Right, but I think if you look at the other two programs, they're going to keep those coaches longer because who else are you going to get? Why were you spending this much money on these two types of coaches? Nick Fitzgerald never left North. I mean, he still hasn't left.
Pat Fitzgerald.
Or Pat's. I'm sorry. Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. If Mel Tucker doesn't win 9-10 ball games the next 2 years consecutively at Michigan State, and if Mel Tucker has a bad season at Michigan State, he's gone. They're not going to keep him very long. Not at $9.5 million. All right, Jason's with us on the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline. Good morning, Jason.
Morning. I got your prediction, the outlandish one.
Okay.
Harsin goes 7-5 at Auburn, and he impresses a Western Kentucky and takes a job from them, and Auburn gets their coach they want, Kevin Steele.
My goodness.
I would love to see that the way Auburn done it, for him to finish above 6-6, go 7-5, and somebody wants them, and he just leaves Auburn hanging at the altar up there, just like a runaway bride.
So basically, Brian Harsin flips the scripts, has a decent year at Auburn, and leaves Auburn high and dry.
Yep. You believe they would deserve it, or that they just a little rough?
I mean, I think it would be interesting. What if Brian Harsin does? What if Brian Harsin goes 8-4, and there is a Pac-12 job that opens, and he takes it and leaves?
Be outstanding. Hey, for what he put up with, that'd be good revenge.
That would be interesting. Yes, I know. I mean, I agree. Yeah. That would be the all-time back at you, I think.
Right, and they're going to say, well, we might have been wrong. Brian, do you need any extra money on your contract? And he just takes off and leaves anyway.
That would be, I agree. I wasn't even thinking of something like that. That would be interesting. All right, Jason, thanks for the call. That's a good one, Chad.
That'd be the total boss move by Harsin right there, just to kind of.
Would that be like?
See you later, buddy.
Would that be like a mic drop?
Yeah.
You go 8-4. You go 7-5.
Well,
he said 7-5.
Going 8-4. But yeah, going 8-4 maybe. What if it went 9-3 and says?
And I'm just thinking, let's say Chip Kelly at UCLA bottoms out. UCLA job comes open. Brian Harsin goes 7-5, 8-4, drops the mic and takes the UCLA job.
I don't know if it's a drop the mic moment, because I think you have obviously it's a drop the mic moment to the Auburn.
After what he went through this offseason.
Yes, it's a drop the mic to the higher ups that absolutely acted like children at him, yes, but to the fan base and to Auburn, the program, no, not so much. It's kind of a wow, thanks, guy. Now it's like it wasn't us that did it. It was.
But the higher ups,
it was the powers that be.
If that happened, I'm wondering if the higher ups would sit there and say, "See, I told you. I told you he wasn't an Auburn man. I told you he
it
wasn't."
Would be all over the news.
I told you he didn't want to be here. We told you last year. We wanted to get rid of him last year. We told you he didn't want to be here.
Issued in that area than there would be around the rest of the country, for sure. It'd be all hatred towards him. It would definitely would be, but it would definitely be the drop the mic moment to be able to just say, you know what, you put me through all this during my vacation, during the time off, during all of this whole off season, made this off season.
And we know Brian Harsin hasn't forgotten it, because I mean he was it last month. He even had an article with Chris Lowe and ESPN And he was still mentioning about the offseason, still mentioning about things that have gone on. This is still in Brian Harson's mind.
We should just keep throwing more petty shade the entire season. I want to see some fun interactions during post-game conferences and everything like that.
Just kind of.
We weren't supposed to win this game because, how bad our offseason was.
Oh, anyway, 256-576-4977. Got a minute or so. Some of the outlandish prediction for a new year for college football. If you want to get in on that, you can. 256-576-4977. Coming up here in just a minute, we're going to talk some Alabama softball. I know we talked a little bit about it yesterday with Travis Reier, but they have made the NCAA tournament 23rd consecutive year, and they're the number 6 overall national seed. They're going to be at home as it begins on Friday. They're going to take on Chattanooga. And Gray Robertson, how about that? Gray Robertson will join us after we take this little break. He's there. He's seen all the action. He'll join us on the flip side as we preview Alabama and their NCAA softball regional.
You're listening to Talkin' Ball on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
Dirty exterior? Don't scrub it. Wet it and forget it. Wet and Forget, the easy outdoor cleaner. Wet and Forget works over time with Mother Nature to eliminate unsightly black and green stains on the exterior of your home with no scrubbing, power washing, or bleach. Use Wet and Forget on all your outdoor surfaces, including decks, siding, roofs, and patios. Wet and Forget's available in a concentrate or extreme reach hose-in. Purchase Wet and Forget in store or online at Lowe's, Menards, Ace, or Walmart.
I'm attorney Gary Lackey. You'll hear people say we're like a family, but here at the Lackey Law Firm, that's really true, not just a saying.
I'm Justin Lackey. With my father and my sister, we have a special connection to each other.
I'm Jennifer Lackey. At the Lackey Law Firm, when we take on your case, you become part of our family. You really do.
And we'll always do whatever it takes to get everything you deserve.
If you're injured, you worry about getting well, not about paperwork or insurance companies or figuring out how to get to your lawyer's office. I'll come to you.
We worry about your case so you don't have to.
When you've been injured, we know that your case is probably the biggest thing going on in your life. More important than almost anything else.
And it's important to us, too, for one simple reason. Family takes care of each other, and at the Lackey Law Firm, we'll take care of you.
The Lackey Law Firm. The Lackey Law Family. 1-800-4RIGHTS.
No representation is made that the quality of the legal services to be performed is greater than the quality of legal services performed by other lawyers.
Did you know that your car, truck, or SUV may be worth over 30 or 40% more than it was last year? It's true. Bobby White back again for Woody Anderson Ford, and we'd love your trade-in for a personalized custom factory order on a 2022 Explorer, Expedition, Ranger, or F-150. You'll get exactly the color and options you want, and Woody Anderson Ford will save you 5% off MSRP, plus you'll get any additional Ford factory rebates. Or if you need a new ride today, choose a Ford Blue Advantage certified pre-owned vehicle. We have over 100 to choose from. Our Ford Gold certified or low mileage, gently used vehicles with great warranties. They've passed a 172-point inspection by certified technicians, come with our 24-hour roadside assistance, plus a full tank of gas and a fresh oil change. At Woody Anderson Ford, whether it's a new order or a pre-owned, we promise to always do the right thing. Corner of George and Sparkman, hope to see you soon.
When I chose a garage door company, I did my homework. I needed Precision Overhead Garage Door Service. They have a 5-star Google rating. I checked their reviews and liked what their customers had to say. Precision Overhead Garage Door has lifetime warranty packages. Same-day service if I call before 2 p.m. If they can't make it the same day, my service call fee the next day is waived. They did a 25-point safety inspection on the door and operator. Now that's peace of mind. Residential, commercial, and gate services. Precision Overhead Garage Door Service. Call 256-400-4500.
Got a wreck at Bailey Cove and 4 Mile Post. No injury reported. University in Henderson had a bus involved, but no injuries there. 565 in Glen Hern. That one's eastbound left lane between County Line and Glen Hern. Move to the right to get around it. 565 westbound from Chapman down to about the downtown exits. You got about 4 different wrecks in there. HPD's trying to get them cleared up. Expert heart care backed by advanced technology. When you need cardiac care, you need the heart doctor. Dr. Randall Burns and the team at Huntsville Heart Specialist. Captain Nick in the North Parkway, Popeyes Skywatch Traffic Center.
When we say local, we mean local, not Birmingham.
Loser.
We are the only sports talk station in Huntsville. It's all right here. 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
You've got a magical glow.
This is Eli Gold, voice of the Alabama Crimson Tide. Now more of Talkin' Ball with Scott Theisen and Drew DeArmond on your home for Crimson Tide Sports 97.7 ESPN The Zone. Roll Tide.
Welcome back. Talking Ball 97.7 ESPN The Zone. Of course, you can hear Eli Gold on 97.7 ESPN The Zone during the college football season. The voice of the Crimson Tide football. And coming up this week, you're going to be able to hear another voice on 97.7 ESPN The Zone, and that is Gray Robertson. Voice and man that's seen a few softball games this year for the Alabama Crimson Tide. Of course, Alabama gets the number 6 national seed. They're headed to the NCAA tournament for the 23rd consecutive time, as they're going to open up with Chattanooga. And Gray Robertson, kind enough to wake up with us on a Tuesday morning to talk a little Alabama softball. Good morning, Gray.
Good morning, and that's putting it lightly, watching some Alabama softball as well as a bunch of softball this year. It's been a crazy season all the way around.
Well, let's talk about the craziness, and that is, I mean, obviously, you want to head into the NCAA tournament playing some really good softball. Alabama makes an early exit from the SEC tournament, something we hadn't seen since 1999 in a loss to Missouri. As Alabama gets ready for this stuff on Thursday, can we say that they're playing some of their best softball heading into the NCAA tournament?
No. I think it's interesting, the last few tournaments that I've been doing this with Tom and with the Crimson Tide Sports Network, I have felt like Alabama's had some positive momentum on the field going into the NCAA tournament, but I can't really say that this year. The offense has had issues getting the timely hits. Situational hitting statistics have been really rough for the last, I'd say, 5, 6, 7 games. And, the pitching has been really solid, but there have been some miscues here and there defensively. And I got to say, if there is a silver lining of being eliminated for the first time ever after just one game in the SEC tournament, it's that the team went back to work. I mean, like as soon as we landed, they went back to work and were really trying to fix some of the issues that have popped up the last few weeks. So I don't think the team is playing their best softball, but I think that their best softball is still definitely ahead of them. And if they can play as motivated as they have looked in the days I have seen since we all got back from Gainesville, I think they can make a run, but they've got to make that statement on the field.
Is it going to be in Montana Fouts we trust for this regional?
It depends. I would expect to see Alex Salter or hopefully Lexi Kilfoyle, if she's able to come back, start in that Chattanooga game. I would love to see Lexi at some point in this postseason period. There's still day-to-day with her injury, and I haven't heard an update yet. But a lot of the big moments are going to be up to Montana. She's going to be in the circle. She's going to want to be in the circle. She wants the ball. That's her thing. She wants to go. She wants to be the one throwing those key pitches down the stretch in a season. But, the offense has to back her up. As Tom and I have joked many times on the new episode of the podcast we just dropped and on the air, in the history of the program, Alabama's never won a game 0-0. So the offense has to be there to provide some sort of backup for Montana. As well as she can possibly pitch, you cannot win a game if you don't score a run.
Well, obviously, the offense – is it a testament, though, as to how good the SEC has been this year?
Oh, for sure. The league this year was just nuts. I mean, you look at some of the teams that are hosting regionals. Florida, if we asked Tim Walton right now, he'd probably say this year was a pretty disappointing season, and they're the 14 national seed. I mean, Missouri was one of the highly touted programs coming into the year. They had a pretty disappointing season up until the last 3 weeks, and they're the 15 national seed. Arkansas seems like a real threat to go to the World Series, and I've seen a couple people pick them to win the national championship. Tennessee is going to be a brutal super regional matchup for Alabama just because Ashley Rogers is pitching the best she's looked all year long. The conference this year was really, really strong, and there was somewhere a narrative I saw where people were talking about the league being down. I don't really think that was the case at all, and I think we're going to see a good number of SEC teams make some noise once regionals start on Friday.
Well, you look at this regional for Alabama. They are that number 6 seed. They will take on Chattanooga, 29-25. Presumably, Gray, I mean, when we look at this regional, if you're looking at it, is it ultimately Alabama and Stanford in the end for a right to go to a super regional?
That's what it looks like on paper. Stanford's got some incredible arms in the circle. Elena Botter, who has been one of the real bright spots in the circle for the Pac-12 the last few years. She's going to be really tough, and they've added depth behind her. In fact, really, it's the pitching period in this regional. And I had a good friend who's an assistant coach at Ohio put together a bunch of statistical facts on an Excel sheet. And if you take out Chattanooga, this Tuscaloosa regional has the second lowest ERA of any regional, and the batting average, I believe, is 15th or 16th. So, and that's combined and averaged out among Alabama, Stanford, and Murray State. So it is a pitching regional. I mean, we're going to see a lot of 2-1 games, 3-1, 2-0, maybe if we get crazy, a 4-1 game, but scores will be very, very low in Tuscaloosa, and Stanford does appear to be the biggest threat to the Crimson Tide. But I will say this, in the postseason, nothing is ever easy, but the opportunity is there for Alabama. This is as good a path as you could possibly draw up during what's been a crazy year.
Yeah. And I mean, if you're Patrick Murphy and company, I mean, you're looking at how the season ended, and, you're not swinging the bats as well as they would have liked. But this is, I guess the solace is, this isn't something that has been there all year. Alabama has swung the bats well. They have put runs on the board. In the game of baseball and softball, I mean, it's a matter of inches. It's a matter of one hit. I mean, one girl gets a hit, and this whole offense can be right back on track.
Yeah, totally. And I think I've talked about this maybe here. I know I've talked about it a couple other places. Alabama went into the Missouri series still third in the SEC in runners in scoring position hitting, and third or fourth in runners on base. I get those two flips sometimes. But like you said, the situational hitting stats just popped up out of nowhere. And that, to me, says that they can get better out of nowhere, because this is a game of failure. And I think also you have to take into account a lot of those statistics came against the Missouri pitching staff just throwing the ball really well right now. Jordan Weber, Schumacher, Krings, I mean, they were hitting their spots. They're not overpowering pitchers, but they're so spinny and they're so location-oriented that, if you struggle the first time, it might be hard to get better the next time you see them. They were just not giving up very many things until they ran out of gas in the SEC tournament championship against Arkansas. And I don't think that giving up on the offense is the right move, because there's so much talent in this lineup, up and down, and I trust them to figure it out. But you got to figure it out now. There's not much time left.
Offensively, who would you like to see kind of step up just a little bit?
Well, I would love to see a little bit more production at the bottom of the order. What made Alabama so good last year and at the beginning of this year was it came from everywhere. But right now you're relying a lot on Ashley Prangy, and then usually it's Bailey Dowling or Kaylee Tower or Allie Shipman who are driving in the runs. But the bottom of the order has been kind of quiet the last few games. And I feel like Jenna Johnson is close. She's, I know, been putting a lot of work in, and she feels like she's about to bust out of her slump. I think we're going to see Dallas Goodnight look a lot better here in this regional. She struggled in SEC play, but Coach Murphy always talks about it's a brand new season, wipe the slate clean, get ready to roll. So I think just the bottom of the order in general has to be on base more to set up opportunities for Prangy at the top of the order, for Kaylee Tao in the 2 spot, should she still be there, and for the RBI producers in Shipman and Dowling, who will almost certainly be in the 3-4. That feels pretty much locked up, although, Coach Murphy sometimes will switch things up, and again, we'll see how it goes.
Great, Chad Gwathney here with you. So if we're looking kind of way ahead into the super regional, do you see a Tennessee-Alabama super regional in the future?
So I do. We recorded our picks podcast last night. It just dropped this morning. I have Alabama, Tennessee. Tom has Alabama, Ohio State. And, of course, the narrative there is it would be either Alabama versus Allie Shipman's old team or Alabama versus Ashley Prangy's old team. But Tennessee is going to have to work to get out of Knoxville. This is one of the lower averaged out RPI conferences in terms of just the number. It's one of the most difficult when you really look through all 4 teams. Ohio State is a revitalized program in the Big Ten. They had a great year. Lexi Hanley, an Auburn transfer, has experience pitching in SEC environments. Oregon State has already beaten Tennessee this year. That was 5-2 out in California many, many months ago. But they've got one of the best two-way players in the country in Mariah Mazon and Frankie Moody, one of the best power threats in the Pac-12. And Campbell, you might say, it's just the Camels, but they've got 3 arms in the circle that you can trust to at least limit Tennessee a little bit offensively. And I think if they play their cards right, they could prove to be a really tough matchup. So I've got Alabama, Tennessee. That feels like what's going to happen, but it's going to take a lot of work for the Lady Balls to get out of that Knoxville regional because there are a lot of teams that can trip them up.
You look around at the rest of the SEC, Gray. 12 of the 14 teams make the NCAA tournament. Not as many as last year, but still, that's a heck of a resume for the conference once again.
Oh, absolutely. And the only reason South Carolina didn't make it was because they finished below 500. If they do, their RPI was probably good enough to at least warrant a discussion, but they weren't that good this year. But the league is, you got all these teams hosting, and then you've got so many 2 seeds that could just be tough matchups. And I'm not sure how many of them are going to make it out of regionals,
right.
But you look at like an Ole Miss. They've got Anna Borgen, the lefty pitcher. They're in Los Angeles against UCLA, and that matchup is tough because I've talked to a lot of former Bruins, and their concern is UCLA struggling against lefty pitchers. That's like a thing that's been around for a couple years. They have had issues with those lefties, and so Ole Miss is going to be a tough matchup. LSU, they could wake up and decide they want to play up to their potential and be that World Series caliber team and be a really tough matchup for Arizona State in Tempe. Georgia, the 2 seed, going to Durham to play Duke. Last year, Georgia was the 2 seed when Duke was the host, even though this regional was in Athens. Duke was the seeded team, and Georgia came out of it. I mean, there are just so many squads all up and down. Auburn, the Clemson regional, is a total toss the papers in the sky situation. I mean, Maddie Penta can get hot. Louisiana as the 3 seed is insane. There are just a lot of opportunities, I think, for SEC teams to make a statement. It's just all about whether or not they'll execute.
All right, and as far as Alabama goes, Gray, I mean, it's. I'm looking at some of these numbers, and as far as tournament goes, it is hard to believe that Alabama has the longest active NCAA regional game winning streak at 43 straight games.
It's crazy, and a lot of those have been very dramatic and tight. There have been 1-0 games. There have been 9-8 games, like in 2019 with the dramatic Bailey Hemphill grand slam to tie it up against Arizona State. It really is awesome, and that kind of leads into my favorite stat. I think the greatest accomplishment Patrick Murphy has had at Alabama, besides, of course, winning the national championship, is the fact that Alabama's never missed a super regional, ever. I mean, super regionals came into play in the mid-2000s, and literally every year they have happened, outside of, obviously, 2020 when we didn't have a tournament. Alabama has been there. No other program, Oklahoma, UCLA, Arizona, Arizona State, Florida, none of them can say that. And to be consistently one of the top 15 teams in the country, not just in talent and in rankings, but literally in the NCAA tournament, is as impressive as it gets. And the Tide put themselves in a position with that full season body of work to host a super regional once again this year if they take care of business this weekend.
All right. Yeah, and it all starts on Friday, 3 o'clock. Is that right, against Chattanooga?
Yes, and the best part, it's the first game. So I know for a fact it will start at 3 o'clock. We don't have to wait on the game before.
Oh, don't you just love the tournament time when you say 3, but it could be 5?
Oh, at the SEC tournament, Tom and I were sitting in the booth for a good 2.5 hours waiting for Tennessee and Mississippi State to finish, sitting there with our friend Rachel from Mississippi State, who wasn't our friend at the beginning of the day, but we all got to know each other real well watching that 13-inning game before.
Your thoughts, though, on the SEC tournament. Arkansas goes wire to wire. They win the regular season and win the SEC tournament. Surprisingly, because of softball and the way the scheduling goes, that's a team Alabama didn't see.
Yeah, it was just one of those years. I mean, you've got the rotation, and it would have been great to have seen the Tide get a shot with Arkansas, but unfortunately it just didn't happen. Arkansas will come to Rhodes next year. That's how the rotation works for 2023. But, a lot of credit to Courtney Deifel. Every time I talk with her, she's one of my favorite coaches that we have on the podcast. And, she said at the beginning of the year that they believe their season will end in OKC and that they believe they can improve upon last year. And I think they have. This is a team that a season ago led the league in home runs, but they weren't great at hitting for average as well. It was pretty much boom or bust, literally, with the home runs. But this year they had the ability to string together singles and, go gap to gap. It's not all about the long ball, and that makes them so dangerous. Add in the Shanice Dells component, your SEC Pitcher of the Year, and all of the work that she did to add a drop ball and her off speed, her rise. There's so much versatility in that pitching staff. It makes Arkansas a really dangerous team, and I wasn't totally shocked that they went into Gainesville and won the SEC tournament. It's sometimes rare for the regular season champion to back it up with an SEC tournament title, but this is a Hogs team on a mission, and it will take a team playing really well and clicking on all cylinders to knock them out in this NCAA tournament.
All right, Gray Robertson's been with us on the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline. Gray, fun all starts on Thursday. Or
so
Friday,
excited. We're going to have on Friday, we're going to have a great time. It's Friday and Saturday, looking around the country, the scoreboard updates we do on the Crimson Tide Sports Network. It's my favorite time of the year. I will have 16 staff broadcasts pulled up. I'm obviously quite pumped. It's a great time to be a softball fan.
All right, well, enjoy the broadcast, enjoy the fun, enjoy all the festivities there at Rhodes on Friday.
Thanks, guys.
All right, Gray Robertson with us, Chad. It is hard to believe. And, I mean, we talked about Alabama having a 43-game regional win streak. But to think that Alabama has not missed a super regional since they started super regionals, that's even more impressive.
Yeah, shoot. I mean, they've made, the NCAA tournament since 99? So, I mean, This is a program that is, when we talk about football and all the other ones, I've always known, because my sister played softball. I like weird sports, I guess, that outside of the main three, where it's you pay attention to this kind of stuff. You know what I mean? They're on TV. They're a historic program that's built on winning. So I mean, it's been a while since. I mean, they've only won it once. They've only won the tournament once in 2012, but they seem to be always in title contention every single year, like they do in all the other sports: football, basketball, and sometimes baseball.
All right, let's get our final break in. When we come back, your tomorrow's headlines today. We've got some non-sports headlines to get to.
You're listening to Talkin' Ball on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
We've had some big problems coming westbound over Chapman down 565 into the downtown area. Had 3 or 4 different wrecks in there. They've been working one at County Line and Madison Boulevard that's had some problems. And, of course, we had those big headaches on 565 westbound through the Sparkman-Bob Wallace area. Had a piece of construction equipment broken down there. They have that stretch of roadway back open. Be careful if you use that number 1 lane. No hose, no mask. You could ask Dr. Sandman, that's Dr. Sandlin, for the medically proven benefits of the Somnodent for sleep apnea and for snoring. 350-CARE. Captain Nick in the North Parkway Popeyes Skywatch Traffic Center.
McCurry Motors is your car and van rental headquarters. You can rent the vehicle you need today. Family in town, sporting event, church function, no matter what your need, McCurry Motors has you covered with a wide selection of cars and vans available for rent. They have 12-passenger Mercedes Sprinter vans, 12-passenger Ford Transit vans, 15-passenger Ford Transit vans, and 15-passenger Chevrolet Express vans. They have 2 locations, Highway 72 in Athens or Max Luther Drive in Huntsville.
SportsMed is the official team physicians of the Rocket City Trash Pandas. And if the pros trust SportsMed, you can too. SportsMed provides every service you might need for complete orthopedic care, specializing in orthopedic surgery, sports medicine, joint replacement, spine surgery, neurosurgery, and podiatry. And they offer their own brace shop, in-house full-body MRI, physical therapy, walk-in clinic, and so much more. 4 locations and on the web at sportsmedalabama.com.
This is Wes Neighbors talking to Chris Haygood of Bob Wallace Appliance. Chris, what sets you apart from other appliance dealerships?
Wes, these appliances are going into the most used room in your house, your kitchen. The way we have these appliances displayed, it's easy for you to visualize how they'll look in your home. Wes, what sets us apart is the people. They're well trained. In fact, they live and breathe these appliances. And if you need service, you'll really appreciate our parts department.
Contact Bob Wallace Appliance at 256-533-2121.
No representation is made that the quality of legal services to be performed is greater than the quality of legal services performed by other lawyers.
A wise man once said, if you take care of old folks and children, everything in the middle will take care of itself.
Hi, I'm Danny Aldridge, lawyer in Alabama and Tennessee. In the next 20 years, the number of those folks over 65 years of age will more than double. In our golden years, the most important goal is to be treated with dignity and have control over doing what makes you grateful with those you love. At the Aldridge Law Firm and the Legal Town Center, we're dedicated to help you with these goals, and we'll be there when life throws you those inevitable curveballs. Let us assist you with your legal needs, whatever they may be or become. You may reach us by phone at 256-534-3188 or online with Dan at danaldridgelaw.com. Just remember, we're here to help. Whether it's personal injury, wrongful death, fraud and cheat, or estate planning made complete, we're here to help.
Tom Abraham here from my friend Brian Hamaker and his team at North Alabama Mortgage. Look, buying a home is the biggest purchase you will make in your life, and it can be a bit intimidating, so you want people that can help walk you through the mortgage process and get you the best deal possible. That's what North Alabama Mortgage does, and they do it in Alabama, Tennessee, and Florida, from first-time purchases to refis, conventional, VA, FHA, and USDA loans. They have the solution at North Alabama Mortgage. Visit NorthAlabamaMortgage.com to learn more. That's NorthAlabamaMortgage.com.
With a new face at first and some of the best arms in the National League, this 2022 Braves team is loaded up for another run at the crown.
Swung on, hit high and deep to center. That ball is gone! Home run!
Tonight, don't miss Atlanta Braves baseball from American Family Field in Milwaukee as the Braves face off against Andrew McCutchen and the Brewers. Braves radio's on the air at 6:25 Eastern, 5:25 Central on the Braves Radio Network.
This segment of Talkin' Ball is brought to you by University Kia, the #1 volume Kia dealer in the state of Alabama. Located online at universitykia.com. It's time for tomorrow's headlines today with Scott Tyson and Drew DeArmond on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Welcome back. Talking Ball, 97.7 ESPN The Zone. Your tomorrow's headlines today. And really, it's one of the big headlines, and it's nothing to do with sports. I've been following social media, and I've been seeing this all over social media this morning. When I say that, I mean Twitter and Facebook. U.S. News and World Report has just named Huntsville as the best place to live in the U.S. in 2022 and 2023. Now, this is big because Huntsville was number 3 last year behind such places as Colorado Springs and Green Bay, Wisconsin. We have leapfrogged them, and we are the number one place to live in the United States in 2022 and 2023. It says, what's it like to live in Huntsville? Once a sleepy farming town, Huntsville gained national recognition in the space race in the 60s and is now consistently among the fastest growing metro areas in Alabama. They analyzed 150 metro areas in the United States to find the best place to live based on quality of life and the job market in each metro area, and Huntsville is number one.
Everybody found out how cheap it was down here, and the housing market everywhere else is still insane. Everywhere else, the cost of living is higher than anywhere else, but this place truly has grown. I mean, I still laugh every time that I think that at that one time the Parkway was a 2-lane road when it first started.
Yeah.
And it's still a 2-lane road now, pretty much on both sides. And it's ridiculous how it's like everything else outside of Huntsville kind of grew too, inside of including Huntsville. It seemed like everything grew outside, and then the interior of Huntsville started growing more and more and more as more people started moving in.
It says the average commute time in Huntsville is 22.8 minutes, which is 4.1 minutes less than the national average.
Yeah, and what's crazy, though, is that we almost have that big city traffic a lot of times in certain areas because of the overpasses, though, a lot of times, too. If we could just build overpasses all the way down to the river, we would never have traffic ever again in this city.
This one is for you. I mean, they break down everything in this here, okay? The age distribution and the marital status breakdown. That's what it gives us in this. Huntsville's the best place to live.
A lot of singles.
52.2% of the population is married. 47.8% of the population is single.
Here's the thing. The percentage that are married are coming back. They left. Everybody leaves Huntsville and then comes back because they realize they missed it so much.
The number of single people in Huntsville is the national average. 47.8%.
I can see that too, though, because so many people moving here for jobs and everything like that. Not everybody's married. People straight out of college coming over here, whether they're engineers or aerospace or whatever. That's wild. That's crazy.
The age distribution in Huntsville, under 20 is 24%. 20 to 24 is 6.5%. 25 to 34 is 14%. 35 to 44 is 12.4%. 45 to 64 is 27%. And 65 and older is 15.1%.
Like how it's as it got older, yeah, it's more. There's more percentages. Everybody's coming back here. People are retiring here. People are, they have family or friends that are originally from here. They move away for a while, realize how expensive it is away from Huntsville, then move back to Huntsville because of, and I honestly think it really is a great place to live because of just how close it is to a lot of other places. And you got 2.5 hours to Nashville. You got 3 hours to Atlanta. You're 6 hours or 5 hours from the beach, depending on how fast you drive. So, I mean, it's really a great place to live, especially North Alabama. Because, I mean, yeah, I don't understand how you could never have seen it. You brought the NASA program over here. You brought tons of engineers. You brought tons of different types of people over here. This is a huge melting pot. I mean, this is a gigantic melting pot of different people that even people today are still constantly moving here because of what started here.
All right, JD on Twitter, going back to our outlandish conversations for college football predictions, says Will Anderson being the first totally defensive player to win the Heisman Trophy is one that, because Charles Woodson won it, but Charles Woodson was also kick returner, and I mean, he was not just a pure defensive player. And he says Anthony Davis of USC should have won the 1974 Heisman Trophy as well. That is part of our conversation that we had on fair or unfair for Bryce Young being double Heisman Trophy winners. The other headline that I'm going to get to, and I'm almost out of time, But at the age of 73, in just 76 days, 75 days now, Ric Flair is going to wrestle again in Nashville.
Ugh. Go away.
73 years old, Ric Flair.
Keep making random videos on TikTok or Facebook or whatever you're doing nowadays. Stop wrestling. I've seen the video, man.
Stop wrestling. He stopped.
Well, what I mean is don't ever. That's what I'm saying. Just stop. Stop while you're ahead. You've already stopped once. I mean, you've been inducted twice into the Hall of Fame.
He says you generally don't see wrestlers north of 70 still competing. Although 62-year-old Sting is still taking bumps in the AEW. But if there's anyone who can do it, Flair is that guy.
Well, if you saw the practice run that he did, he got thrown down a couple times, and it took him a lot longer to get up than most people.
He's 73 years old.
That's probably why you should stop before you break a hip.
Get up.
You should stop before you break a hip.
He's 73.
This man has had health problems. He's had issues in the past. He's just now gotten back, and now he's about to go do this again.
He put on there an hour ago, who should be my last match? Who should I take to school on July 31st in Nashville?
Sergeant Slaughter, because y'all are the same age.
Anyway, that's going to do it for our 2 hours on a Tuesday. We'll be back at it tomorrow on a Wednesday show. We'll figure out what we've got going on later. Thanks to Gray Robertson. Thanks to Steve Meek. Best of luck to Decatur Heritage tomorrow. We'll be back at it tomorrow, 7 o'clock. Talking Ball, 97.7 ESPN The Zone.